Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Business Clinic. This is a Q&A session for coaches, for writing coaches specifically. And so you can drop in and ask me any question you have on your business. If this is the first time you're here, feel free to introduce yourself, drop your social links in the chat. As I always say, please get in contact with each other because being a business owner is a really exhausting journey. So if you have someone to help you or just that you can touch base from time to time, it's really big luxury, but not an unnecessary luxury. So my name is Anne and I am your host. So Stephanie, do you have any questions on your business? I always give priority to people who are here to reply to their questions.
Well, first tell me a little bit about you. How did you get started doing this?
Um, in 2018, I got pregnant and I decided to sign up for a writing course. I was thinking that is the last moment that I will be able to really work on my novel and get that book out. And so when I went through this whole training, it was really very exciting because I started with the training, not sure if I was a writer, if I was going to be able to write something, or this real doubt of a writer. And I came out of the training and saying, okay, you know what? I'm a writer and I'm going to write that novel. It's not out yet and it's not finished yet, but the idea is there. And I was like so excited. I said, this is what I want to offer to other writers as well, because it's such a liberation to have to come out of the coaching, know that I have a book in me, that I will be able to write it. I want to do this for other people. So I signed up for a book coaching training. Went through the entire coaching, was really happy. And throughout the coaching, I got in contact with other other book coaches. And so, like you said previously, it was very difficult for all of them, like to know where do they start, what do they do. And I had my business consulting training from my business consulting experience. I worked 10 years in the public and the private sector. And I was really focused on businesses who needed to transform or who had difficulties to get running. So I started giving advice because that was my expertise and the whole thing. And then I got my first client as a book coach. And from the moment I got on that call, I realized that this was not going to be it. So a bit of a disappointment moment. But then at the same time, someone asked me, well, Anne, can you coach me to set up my business? Because you seem to quite know things. And so that's how it started. I did that first. There was a book entrepreneur. Was really mind-blowing for me because right from the moment I knew this is was it. And then afterwards, like, you know what, I'll just go for it and focus on book coaching and help them set up their business. Because I think there's a need for someone like me. And also as a book coach, I mean, I went through the experience myself. You can really transform a writer's life. It's really important that you get out there, that you get in contact with your ideal client and your public so that you can help them become better writers and get their books out there. So yeah, that's my story.
Okay. Well, do you think
Okay.
the book coaching business is getting oversaturated? Because I just did a little like cursory
Mm,
research of like, because I just Googled like writing coaches and like I just
mm.
wanted to see how people were pricing things and that kind of stuff. And it seems like there's a lot out there already. So is there, is it oversaturated?
I don't think there's such a thing as an oversaturated, because in the coaching sector, what you bring in is your own expertise, but also your own personality. I'm a business coach. They will say as well, oh, the business coaching sector is oversaturated. Um, some people connect with my style, some will not connect with my style. And then it's good that you have different opportunities and possibilities to choose someone that fits you. And if a writer is the same, I know that there are people like your friend. Why did she want to be coached with you? Because she likes your personality, because she likes your expertise, because she likes the way that you will help her to write your book. Of course, there is a lot of noise out there. But one tip I would have here is to really focus on what do you bring in as a book coach. What is your expertise? You're a journalist, so I'm sure that you have built up a very specific expertise in a kind of area or a kind of writing. And the second thing is to be very niche, like who exactly it is that you want to work with. If you're telling me I want to work with older writers, yes, you're going to end up in a very oversaturated market and it's going to be very exhausted because you're talking to everyone and you want everyone to come to your business. And in that kind of perspective, it's not going to really work out. But in short, no, I don't think it's oversaturated. At the contrary, I think the more of us that are out there offering this kind of this services, the more possibility we will have to have like other books and other stories out coming out there. So yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I have a lot of experience with mental health and addiction stuff, as well as the journalist nonfiction side. So I've already like talked about like the self-help nonfiction memoir kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do fiction at all. So I'm already kind of niching there. And then I've also discovered, like, even just with some people that I've been talking to, like the different level of services people want, because some people want you to write the book for them. Some people want like, like some help getting stuff out, some like interviewing, that kind of stuff. And some people just want kind of like the person to hold them accountable and stuff like that. And is it quite okay to kind of offer that range of services, or should I specialize that more too?
It's always going to depend on what you want to offer. Like someone who wants to have the book written by you, that's not a book coach service that they're looking for. That's a ghostwriting service. So it depends really on what do you want to offer, what do you feel more comfortable with. If you feel, for example, comfortable with doing ghostwriting and book coaching, why not? But if you say that's not something I really like, so yeah, it's your business. I mean, you have one big advantage with being a business. You build your business on your terms and what you want to like to do. So yeah, of course, it's again better if you focus on one or two specific services, because again, it will make your marketing more easy. If you have to market as a ghostwriter, as an editor, as a book coach, that's three different jobs, which each ask a different kind of approach in your marketing, where you're going to go to your marketing. So the more niche, it doesn't mean that because, for example, you say, okay, I only want to be a book coach with people who have mental health issues, or who want to write books about that you're never going to be able to enlarge your approach or your public. You will always be able to enlarge that once you have found your methodology, you know who you want to work with, how you want to work. And once you have those basics in place, it's really amazing how big you can go. But you have to get those basics in place. And the more niche you are, it means that you have like more specific marketing channels where you have to address yourself to your other to your potential writers, and the more time you have to really focus on developing your offer and make sure that it's what you want and what you can offer also, because you have to figure out where are you the best in. Are you the best as a ghostwriter? Are you the best as an editor? Are you the best as a book coach? That's a bit the scary thing when you start up your business. It's like knowing where are you the best. So if you're quite niche, at least it will show you, okay, I can do this, I cannot do this, and then you just change. Because in the beginning of a business, actually all the time in a business, you have to change all the time, and keep that kind of things in mind.
Yeah, because it seems like I mean, people are asking me for help already, and it's like trying to meet them where they're at, wherever they are as writers or whatever. And so like adjusting to that, but I can see what you mean about being pretty, because I guess that's two different ways of like finding the person first versus finding the service first, like
exactly.
I know the person. Yeah. So
yeah, because I mean, one thing that really great with you is that you already have like, okay, I want to work with people who have a self-help memoir. Like that's already an amazing, and you want to go in mental health. So that's already a really big thing that you have figured out, which is great because it already limits the services, well, and at least the area in which you're going to offer your services. But now, yeah, it's just figuring out what are the services that you want to offer and you don't want to offer. And don't be afraid as well to say, okay, I don't think this is my thing, to say no. Because coaching, it's a great job, but it's also a very tiring job if you're offering a service that doesn't fit you. If you have a hesitation, you say, yeah, maybe I could like take on I was going to say the patient. Take on the writer, and if you see it's not working out, you can always take a step back, refer that person to another book coach. The beginning is always a bit like seeing what is going to fit you or not fit you. But really keep that in mind that it is your business. So you're going to be the best coach ever if you work with the people that really fit you and that you can offer them the services that really fit them as well.
Mm-hmm. So how do I go about like figuring out pricing and that kind of thing?
So pricing, what I always say is to have a minimal price and then your target price. So the minimal price that is based on what you need to survive at the end of the month. So I always say I don't work with hobbyists. I work with people who want to have a financial viable business. So look at your expenses and see at the end of the month what is it that you need. I'm talking here in the idea that you want to have a full-time business, but even if you have a side gig, you can always figure out. You always have to have like
Target.
a salary that, yeah, exactly. So you have that minimum target. Then you see how much hours you can or want to work during the week, and that's how you're going to determine your price. So I know some people say, take into account your value and the whole thing, but this is just the minimum price that you need, because otherwise, if you don't have that price, you're not going to survive. And then the second one, that is where you can go big. That's your ambition price. So for example, you need every month a minimum of $4,000 to survive. That is going to be a minimum target, but you can totally tell yourself, okay, actually I want to go to the 10,000, and that is going to be my ambitious target price. And then you start up your business, and the first thing is really to get as soon as possible to that target minimum salary of, let's take the example again here of your 4,000. So, and then it's going to depend on what you want to offer. If, for example, you do one-to-one and you tell yourself, okay, I just want to work with one person per month, you do it 4,000. But you can also say, I want to do a group program, and then I want to be with 10 people. So then it's going to be 400 a person. So of course you're starting out, and you told me that you have your first writer who's for free. So you have to go from 0 to 4,000. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Don't feel yourself pressured to right from the start say, okay, every writer it's 4,000. You can very well start saying, okay, it's 2,000, but I know that in 6 months, or if I've had, for example, 5 clients, then I'm raising my prices. That's how I worked as well. Beginning it was lower price, and then, but you have to have a really plan in mind, because we need to get to that minimum price. Then once you have your minimum price, then you can look for your target price. But that's again another planning, because for example, if you go from 4,000 to 8,000, might mean that you have to take more one-to-one clients, or you have to set up a group program, or you have to look into other revenue streams. Then it's a whole other discussion. But the priority is for you now is to get to your minimum price, like identify your minimum price and get to that as soon as possible.
Okay. And do you talk about like the range of like, okay, how would you set up like a contract? Like, this is what I do, this is what I don't do, kind of, that's what you do right when you're doing like a discovery call kind of thing, figuring out like if that's going to work, and then putting in line, like in writing, like what you're responsible for and what you're not responsible for.
Yes, exactly. So here my advice is already have your website in place and put out as much information as possible on what you don't do. So if you, for example, you go on my website, you see that I have a question on, can I make you a book coach, for example? I make it very clear, no, that's not what I do. Pricing, I always put it in there as well, so that when the person comes on your introduction call, that person already has a good idea of what you offer. I also suggest that before you go on a discovery call, you have a question list, so that you know what that person exactly is looking for, so that before you get on the introduction call, that you already like 50% convinced that this can be a client for you. Because then getting on discovery call, it's more like, okay, do we have a personality click, for example? Because coaching is very personal. You're going to work with this writer for a longer time on sometimes very personal memoirs, especially in your case. You want to know that there is a click and that you can work with that person for 3-6 months, a year. So then it really depends on you if you want to be strict on saying, okay, I don't do this, I don't do this. But in my introduction calls, I mostly talk about what we can do for the writer, for the book coach. But in your case, it's like what we can do for the writer, what he or she will get at the end of your coaching. I would strongly say that you never promise that the book will be out or published, because that's, I mean, we all know that the book industry is not that easy. There's no magical formula to have a book published. So that's one thing I would definitely not promise. And then it's more you having in mind your checklist of your ideal client. So for example, you want someone who has realistic expectation. You want someone that is really looking for a book coach and not for a therapist, for example, because that's a bit the things that I would say in, if you go into that, yeah, no, but it's the kind of things, to keep in mind. So my advice would really here, like, have your website or you just an information page. You don't need to have like a very complicated website. You just put a page where you already say, I'm doing this, I'm not doing this. Have the questionnaire, and then when you go on the call, it's really having more a personality check and see what you can do for that writer with his or her motivation, and have your checklist for your ideal client in mind as well.
Do you have them fill out that like question form before you get on a call with them?
Yes,
okay.
yes, exactly. And when I advise most of my book coaches as well is to ask for a sample of their writing. Because if you have the sample of writing, you will already see, I mean, it will of course not show you the entire extent of the writing expertise, but normally writers will submit the best writing ever they have. So it already gives you an idea of where the writer is, if you're going to be able or not to help the writer. Because sometimes, I mean, you get you get a writing sample and this is not going to make it. So then you just know as well that you might have to divert the person to someone else, or you have to adapt maybe your introduction call saying, okay, we have to really start from the beginning and get some things in place before you can really start writing your book, for example.
Okay. I just lost it. Do you consider book coaching like getting to the publishing part, or is that kind of one service you can offer versus like the actual writing part versus like getting a pitch and getting published, going indie publishing, going self-publishing, all that kind of stuff? Because I don't really want to learn all of that,
No, but that's a really good, I mean, I think you have a really good mindset, Stephanie, in saying, okay, this is what I want to learn, this is not what I want to learn. If you don't want to learn the pitching part, you don't learn the pitching part, and you just say, okay, I can help you write the book, get it done, and then I let you go at the pitching part. And you can always like team up with another coach who likes to do that, because then it gives you referrals. For example, if you work with a book coach who says, I only do the pitching, it would be great for her to work with you, because she knows if someone comes from you, the person is really ready to pitch, and vice versa. If the person that other coach has someone who wants to pitch but the book is not ready, she can refer to you, for example, or he. So yeah, that's it's really, especially in the beginning, again, be really good, excellent in one thing with one client, rather than offer 10 services and not being able to offer the best service in those 10 areas.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna be able to learn all of that right away either.
Yeah, exactly, because it's things come with experience. For you now, it's really to identify what you're good at, because there's a difference between being able to do something. Everyone can pitch to an agent. It's not that difficult to learn, but there's difference between being able to do it and being excellent at it. Because if you're excellent at it, you will not have to worry in finding clients, because they, will refer to each other saying, she really helped me, she knew how to do things. But if you're just blah, it's not going to help you, and it's not going to help you writer.
Yeah. Back to pricing a little bit, like you set up like a minimum price for you. Should you be looking at what other people are offering too, or in comparison, like how am I in the marketplace, or should you just kind of set, this is what I offer and this is what you have to pay for me, and like that's it?
Yeah, I'm more from that thing of like, this is because again, we're talking about your minimum price. So I mean, unless you tell me I need like $30,000 a month to survive, I was like, yeah, okay, it's also a question of expertise and the whole thing. But if you have, I would say, a reasonable minimum amount that you need, I mean, you come in with your expertise and what you do. And again, you can start smaller. You can, instead of 4,000, you say, okay, I start with 2,000, or I take more one-to-one clients, so I can go 2,000. But it is a non-negotiable pricing anyway, because this is your minimum price. This is what you need to survive and make your business financially viable for you. So it doesn't make any sense to have an empty fridge at the end of the month just because you're looking what other people do. And there's not something, you can, for example, I don't know, price your services 10 million. It doesn't matter if you price your services that high if you have 10 people out in the world who are interested in your services, because that makes you 100 million. And there are people out there looking for your specific service. So don't worry about that.
And do you, that pricing point, that's kind of like a package rate, not like a per hour rate that you're looking at too, or?
No, yeah, I wouldn't advise the 1 hour coaching because it's very difficult to really get into the book of a writer. And it's also not very efficient because you have to spend the same marketing efforts in getting that 1 hour sold as it is for a package. Of course, you can do smaller, longer packages, or what some people do as well is that you have to sign up for monthly coaching, and they have the minimum of 3 months, and then they can choose. But 1 hour, it's very difficult to start talking in 1 hour of what the book is, what you have to do, the whole thing. Of course, a thing that you also can do is say, the writer, for example, sends in 10,000 words. You look into that before, and then you have 1 hour, for example, of feedback on that. That can be a mini package. But again, you see, there's already some work done in front of it.
Yeah. No. But I mean, do you charge the client like, we'll do 10 hours and it's, I don't know, $400 an hour or whatever, that kind of thing? Or do you just say like, I'm going to help you find this end or create this end project, which is like a finished book? Or do you put a time limit, or like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, I would keep it as simple as possible and say, okay, so you have an idea today. If you take package A, we're going to help you to, for example, have a plan. So I would, yeah, I always be very careful about what exactly you promise them. Like, for example, setting up a finished book, you don't know what happens in those 10 hours. Maybe in hour 3, the person will identify that it's actually very, very personal, or something, some life happens. But yeah, you can say, for example, we go from A, you take the package, you will end at point B, which is a roadmap, or a first draft, or something into this.
Okay. So a lot of being specific, starting small, or niche, I guess, or targeted, or whatever, however you want to say that.
Yeah, I made a video on the difference between target market, niche, and ideal client. So I will send that to you, as well as the pricing. I made a video on that as well. So I will send both of those videos to you to give you more information on that.
Yeah, I found you because I watched one of your videos, but I don't remember which one it was. So yeah. Yep.
Well, do you have any other questions?
Oh, so many, but I need to do some work first too, I think.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, feel free, because I mean, you're the one present, so I'll give you have all the floor. Otherwise, I have some questions of people who send them in who could not be here, but send them in. So I'll just reply to one question. Maybe this is one that will help you as well. So this comes from Tim. How do I handle the time between the appointments and not having a consistent revenue? So first of all, Tim, no business has a consistent revenue. Even the biggest companies out there, they always talk about provisions of income, but they never have a consistent revenue that is set in stone right from the moment that their season starts. So it's a bit more of a trick of mind. Now, I can understand that it's very frustrating that I say this. So to trick your mind, what I would advise you is to set up a fund. So whenever you have a client, you take out a specific amount out of that of what your client paid and you put it in that fund. And through that fund, you're going to pay yourself a consistent revenue. So of course, I don't know where you are at this stage in your business, but it will, if you start, for example, beginning, like Stephanie's case, it will take time to set up that fund. So do know that when you start out, it's always very difficult and complicated. It might take some time to get that first client, but you have to continue doing what you're doing. Normally, it takes between 3 to 6 months before you get traction. So don't worry about it. Have in mind, why are you doing this? Remind yourself that this is your desire, your goal. Look for support as well. It can be a business coach, but it can also be a business buddy, or someone that you can just touch base by from time to time. But so yes, here it is. Keep going, do what you're doing. It's not an easy thing to do to be a business owner, but efforts pay. Yeah, that's what efforts will pay. And at one point you will see it will get going, and set up that fund so that you can trick your mind by having a consistent revenue. Again, keep in mind that if you're at the beginning of your stage, it's going to take a little bit for time before you get to that stage where you have a fund that is consistently filled up every month. So
it's kind of just interrupt. That's kind of like paying yourself a salary.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that, it gives a bit of calm of mind, knowing that every month you get that consistent salary. Again, it's dependent on your minimum price, but well, we can take the example of Stephanie. You want to have 4,000 every month. You've signed, for example, 2 clients. You decide that from each of those clients, you take 50% off, you put it in your fund so that you can give yourself a salary every month. Of course, what you're going to put into your funds is going to depend on if it was a good month, if it's a bad month, but at least it helps you to keep going and get that consistent revenue and be a little less stressed by the end of the month. Am I going to have enough revenue or not? Tim, I hope that my reply to this question has been helpful to you. If you need any other information or you're a little bit you need any, feel free to send me another question or come to the business clinic. So, Stephanie, do you have one last question before I let you go?
Not that I can think of. I'm sure I will think of something as soon as we hang up. So
yes,
I don't know. It's just it's all very new to me, and I know like one of the things I need to do is like set up an LLC and stuff, and I don't know how to do that at all. So
oh yeah. That's the administrative is always the most exciting part of
yeah.
But that will come. That will come. Don't worry. And I think that's an easy one to learn as well. You will have to learn it anyway. So
Yeah.
but that will come.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for having attended. Feel free to come for the next one. So the next one takes place 29th of November. Again, same time, 9 a.m. GMT +8. For those who are watching this video but could attend, feel free to attend that meeting as well. You will find a link just below this video. And if you have any other questions and you can't attend, feel free as well to send me a message. Yeah, I have difficulty finding my words this morning. But again, thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming out. I wanted to mention I'm going to have a group program in March of next year for people who are in your situation, people who start out. So you might have a look. I will send you the link as well if that's something that you might be interested in. Okay, so that was it. And I hope to see you next month.
Okay. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.